Hello and welcome. It's going to be part one of the Keewatin, how do you say it? Engineering collection playlist, whatever. I'm not going to go into too much detail to save on time, but pretty much we're going to be going over on what you need to do to get the Keewatin up and running. So, with that, we'll get started. Alright, so what you're going to need to do for the first step is, of course, go around all the boilers, and what you're going to want to do is come over here and kind of look over here. You're going to want to increase the temperature that you want the boiler to be running at. I would recommend 150, however, when you get up to steam, I would recommend slowly bringing down the temperature. That way you're not constantly blowing off steam from being overpressured. As well, changes in what amount of steam you would need might affect that. So I would do the same over here, bring up to 150. There we go. And you'll do that for all 4 boilers. Alright, all the boilers are set to 150. Side note, the ignition for the boilers are based on coal level. So when you get to around, I think it's like 5 pieces of coal in the firebox, that's when the coal will ignite, or, if you leave it there, it'll extinguish when it, you know what I mean. So that being said, there is the coal bunker behind you, or behind the boilers. Same on each side. You'll just crouch down, go over to one of your empty slots, and press E until you got coal, and you'll load it in. Simple as that. Other boiler controls, you do have the... that should not be labeled that. Don't look right there. That'll change. Don't worry about that. This is your injector line. That's this pipe coming right here, which goes into the boiler room, or the engine room, I mean. So this is to actually inject water into the boiler, and like that, valve's open, and you'll see the water glass over here is at the top. Now, side note, this water gauge only measures up to around 80% of the actual boiler's capacity, so 100% is more or less 80% on the actual boiler. And there's also actual water inside the boiler that the Stormworks boiler uses. So yeah. Due to the way Stormworks steam works, you'll probably honestly never even have to refill the water on these. But if you do, there's that. As well, there is simulation on overfilling the boiler and underfilling the boiler. So, I won't say what happens, but you can probably guess or, find out. So, anyway, moving on. Some other thing about the boiler room. You do have the fire pump, the turbine-powered steam pump that powers the fire lines. There's only a few fire stations around the ship. I can go over those in a later video. But there's plenty of other handheld fire extinguishers, so it shouldn't really be that much of an issue. And I doubt you're going to be using the ship for, I don't know, Stormworks career firefighting missions. I don't know. Anyway, some other controls you have here are the pressure dials, and you'll see we're getting pressure. These are measured in PSI. They go about to around 250 at their max. I think it's around 230 that the boiler relief valve will start releasing. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Basic things, just keep the coal in the boiler, and as well set the temperature. And again, 150 for getting her started, and then after that you'll just have to experiment. So next step, we'll head up to the top of the boiler casing. Kind of squeeze around that cowl vent. So top of the boilers, this is where you're going to be selecting what boiler you're going to be using for each kind of thing. So at the top, you have your auxiliary valve there, you have your main steam line here, and you have your whistle supply valve. So what I would recommend for actually getting the ship up and running is set this one over to auxiliary, set this one to main and whistle. Doesn't really matter which ones you set to the whistle supply, as long as you do at least one boiler. This one as well, do the main, and that one for the main. Might as well do one other auxiliary. There is a, I don't know if it's a bug or just, you know, Stormworks physics, but when you have the auxiliary valve engaged, the pressure is going to pretty much drop to nothing. It'll still be running, and, well, you know, it'll still power the dynamos and other systems. It just won't be as high as pressure as the other boilers. You can always just increase the temperature, but that might be risky just in case, I don't know, something happens. But it's not really that big of a deal, so you can just ignore that. Now, one other thing while I'm here, if we walk out this door, we'll go into the, I guess you can call it the cargo deck. I don't really know. You do have the controls here for the watertight door that separates the boiler room and the engine room. Basic operation is you spin the crank to close the door. You engage this flip button to reverse it, so to open up the door after it's been closed and whatnot. So that should be it for the boilers. One other thing, you do have the steam release valve here. So if you wanted to manually release steam, let's say in the event of emergency, or you know, you're done using the ship, it's that one over there, of course. And then up here in the fiddly, you do have the, ooh, I don't have it named, that'll be fixed, of course. This is your supply for the radiators around the ship, so if you're traveling in a cold area, you can engage those. Do be aware though, the distance on the heaters will also heat up the boilers, so that might mess with your set point for the heating. So that'll be it for the boiler room. I'll leave this video off here, and in part 2 I'll go over the engine systems.